Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning Bansta show. We got Kenny in the building. Good morning, Kenny.
Good morning, Claude. How are you?
Not too bad. Did you enjoy the fight last night?
Yes, it went well. It went how I thought it would go. I said that it'd be between round 7 and 9, and that in between those rounds that Fulham will go down at least twice, and that it'd be a late stoppage. So I was very convinced of it because I thought Fulham would be game, but I just looked at Anthony Joshua's power and the fact that Fulham will have to engage with him and he'll make mistakes, and that's exactly what Fulham did. You know, his mantras are actually he fought the right fight. You've got to take a punch to actually gain impetus in the fight. Unfortunately, he fought a very live fighter who, you know, he's been trained very well, very well. He's learnt some new tricks as well, Anthony, and he's fully prepared. And the best thing that Fulham did for Anthony Joshua was actually get him mad and get him engaged and ready for battle. So that was all good. A lot of ticked boxes for AJ.
It seemed to be that even after the fight, there seemed to be a little bit of a row there. Even I thought, after a bit of fight like that, they all hug each other, but it seemed to carry on after the fight.
Yeah, I thought what AJ should have done. I didn't like AJ what he should have done is that he should have gone and seen how Kubrat was getting on, make sure he's okay. He just got out of the ring and went straight to his mate Floyd Mayweather, which is nice, a nice touch. But but in terms of like boxing etiquette, I would like him to just say, but he didn't really do much wrong, because I like the fact that when they did get together, they punched gloves and blah blah, and they had that sort of warrior chant, and I loved that so much, because Dave, when you're boxing against someone, you're sharing something that me and you can never understand. And I think it's like tennis players as well. You're sharing it, the 5 sets. You're both knackered. Your careers are on the line. And I think in boxing, your careers are on the line, your livelihoods on the line, and your lives are on the line as well. So you do share something in there, and you cannot not respect someone who's going through that same sort of thing as you are.
Yeah, I do get that, Kenny, but I had him to win in the 4th. Yeah, I said to Terry, win in the 4th. I thought, I'm gonna get this one right. And then because of the 3rd round, he all over the place. The geezer went down about twice in the 3rd round, didn't he? Right, and then I thought he'd finish him off in the 4th, but he seemed to hang on in there.
I think what's happening is that you've got to build up your attacks. And I think what's happening is that Anthony Joshua is a big lad, 17.5 stone, full of muscle. There's nothing worse in boxing than emptying out your gas tank. Because, when you're emptying out your gas tank, not only are you unable to finish off your good work, you're susceptible to punches. And punches that don't normally hurt you actually can finish you off. And I think that's the thing. You can do as much conditioning as you like. You can do your sprints, do your cross country, do your your stretching, your weights, keep your legs strong. But once you're in there and the adrenaline's there, it's a situation. It's that you can empty your gas tank in just one round in boxing. You can really do that. I mean, especially when you're big lads, because remember, when you're over 15 stone, your body needs more oxygen. Your muscles need more oxygen in order to give you that, taking that breath and start again. Whilst a lighter fighter, when you see the lighter fighters, they can go all night, jab, jab, punch, 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 and they haven't got that much, like I said, oxygen that they need to expand, because they're lighter fighters and they're traditionally quicker in their feet.
Also, what I'm saying, he went on after to announce that it's up to the promoter to sort this out. We want this Tyson Fury fight. He wants it. He said.
Yeah, I think the problem. I think the thing is that a lot of boxing fans are not aware of the politics around boxing.
Yeah, and he said, let's sort it out, because he's putting them to Eddie home. Let's get it sorted out. Let's get this fight on. possibly in 2021. I think if it don't happen in 2021, it will never happen, will it?
Well, not at all, because I think what's happening, I don't see Tyson Fury sticking around and waiting. Tyson Fury, as much as Tyson, the British public, the people who want the fight more than anyone is the British public, and Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua want to serve the British public. But I'm not convinced that Tyson Fury has that because of his mental health. I don't think he likes the sort of razzmatazz around the game anymore. He doesn't want to be around the sort of the TV stations doing interviews, blah blah. He'll build the fight as much as you like, but the razzmatazz about it and the waiting around, I don't think that's going to do Tyson Fury's mental health very good, and that's why I think Tyson Fury said, well, mentally Tyson Fury probably doesn't need boxing, and I think because of what's happened to him, with his plus he had the drug issues and plus the mental health issues. I think his mental health and well-being is more important to him than actually a boxing match.
Yeah. So, but who would your money be on if it does happen?
Well, the thing with Tyson Fury is that Tyson Fury's got a lot. Tyson Fury can fight southpaw. He can fight he can fight southpaw. He can fight natural, orthodox, and he can walk you down. He can fight at range. He can actually do things like he can actually get you into a mental state that he'll make you think he's going to hit you when he isn't. And what he does is he makes you expend energy that you're not using for throwing punches because he's in your head, and he's very good at that. Saying that, there is a loads of fighters are unbeatable. With Lomachenko, we thought he was not unbeatable, but he's lost. And I think there is a way to beat Tyson Fury, but the way to beat Tyson Fury is to put him under pressure. When you hurt him, you take him out, and you take him out in a way that if he is on the brink, you do it in a way that you don't expend your energy, because once you run out of energy, and he clears his head, then he gets on top again. And I think if you look at the Deontay Wilder fight as well in the 12th round, Deontay Wilder's had him, and he's gone for him, and then he's run out of energy. And then what's happened is that Tyson Fury's head is cleared in the 12th round, and he takes over. And he was one punch from stopping them Deontay Wilder in the first fight, but obviously he ran out of energy as well.
Yeah, I do get you coming from on that. Okay, so that's sorted. Now I got mind you, that the comical one was the fight before. I thought Kenny briefly that guy, the way he was going down.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Lawrence Okolie, the Hackney boy. Yeah, Hackney lad. I think, and he's fighting the Polish guy. I can't pronounce. I've forgotten his name, but it'll come to me.
He went down in installments, didn't he, the other guy?
Yeah, but I think the thing with fighters, the thing with Lawrence Okolie is that one thing that's really harmful about his punches is that sometimes when someone hits you really that hard, you actually want to go down, so you're dazed, you don't see it coming. But the thing with Lawrence Okolie, you see his punches coming, and I think the reason why he was like boom, 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 it was not just the power, it was the fact that it was the pain of it as well. He really, really hits hard. That right hand is like a hammer. I think when I look at it, if you talk about one punch power, the only fighter that in boxing with proper one punch power is probably Deontay Wilder. I'm not going to say he hits as hard as Deontay Wilder, but he hits hard, Lawrence Okolie. Really hits hard. And he's a sort of person who could knock the foundations of a tall building with his punch power.
No, yeah, I do get you. Right, let's go through Saturday's games, which weren't really not as good as the boxing, I'm afraid. First of all, Wolves completely dominated Aston Villa, and Villa had a player sent off. Was it
Douglas Luiz? Yeah,
Luiz got sent off, and then everyone thought Wolves Villa will be completely back to the wall. What they do, they go and snatch it with a penalty right at the end. Not the greatest of games, but another defeat for Wolves, who since the Arsenal game have lost now 2 games on the trot now to Villa. Villa, another good win for Villa there, right, Kenny?
Well, Villa's got some very good results away from home, and so they're just continuing. I thought
We know, Kenny.
Yeah, but what Villa did is that they didn't panic when Wolves were on top. Wolves played very, very well, but sometimes when it's at 0-0, one of the things that you can never. It's things like boxing, really, to a certain extent. So heavyweight boxing, yeah, you could be on top, but one punch caught clean can take you out. And I think what Villa did is they absorbed the pressure. They rode their luck. Thought Wolves played very well, especially down the flanks. But Semedo, his one mistake during that game, because I thought Semedo had a good game. He managed to get McGinn sucks him in, and once McGinn's on the outside, if it's like a 60-40 ball, and McGinn was the one who like I said, who basically turned them around. The ref, any bit of contact, McGinn's going down, and he did go down. It was definitely a penalty. I'm very happy for El Ghazi because I understand he's been taking a lot of, abuse from Villa fans about his performances, and for him to take that penalty and win the West Midlands derby, I'm very happy for him because I think what's happened is that we're all like that. Football fans are all the same. We're like that. I've done it, I suppose. That when we're frustrated with our club, with the results, we look at one player and we think, right, we're going to pick a fight with him, or we're going to pick on him. And then once you do it, it's relentless. And El Ghazi's been their fall guy, so it's very good that he managed to win the game. And I hope Villa fans lay off him. But it's easy for me to say that when I've done it myself, I suppose, in my youth to players.
Yeah, but it looks another clean sheet for Martinez. 6 clean sheets this season. We could have done with that 6 clean sheets at the Emirates, couldn't we, Kenny?
I think what's happened is that we as much as a lot of us feel that Martinez is the more superior goalkeeper than Nano. The fact of the matter is that we have to live with the decision. And we have to wish him the best for Aston Villa. But Emilio is now an opponent now, and we just have to accept it. He's not one of us anymore.
Yeah. What's the matter with Bertrand then? What's he saying? Oh, I see. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so then I'm moving on. Newcastle, West Brom. Thought they got a bit of a lifeline. They made a couple of good substitutions half time. Not a great game to watch either. But Newcastle snatched it with a very good team goal at the end, wasn't it? A really good move and good finish. And they took the points. And I feel a bit for Bilic, but I think they should give him time because I don't think anyone with the resources he's got is going to do any better. So I think he needs a bit of time as well. And I just feel he's been a bit of luck because I thought they didn't deserve to lose in the end, but very poor game though.
Yeah, it was a very poor game. You've got to remember Newcastle just have only been training for 4 days. We're back at the training ground on Tuesday. Remember, all of them had to self-isolate for 2 weeks because there was a massive wave of COVID attack at the club and a rise of infections within the confines of the dressing room. And one player was bedridden for a week with the symptoms. That was Isaac Hayden. So it was a very you weren't exactly going to see quality football from Newcastle, and West Brom were fighting for their lives as well. So once again, you have to look at the situation and think, thank God for small mercies that the game actually went ahead, and that we managed to get some sort of goal entertainment. Not really much entertainment, but the goals were very good. Almiron, he's turning his good football into in goals. Very good finish by Furlong, for the E-class. Very good, opportunistic, but a good volley. But it was it came back at him, but he managed to get a good connection. And the cross from Jacob Murphy for Dwight. He said Dwight Gale. Sorry, yes, Dwight Gale. Yes, right. Yeah, was fantastic, beautiful cross, and great opportunism by young lads. But as you said, it wasn't a great game, and we're probably going to go on to other games as well. They weren't. I think yesterday wasn't a great advert for Premiership football, but it is understandable, Claude, because I think what's happening now is that with the shortened break pre-season, games are coming thick and fast, and then you're going to have games in the midweek games that we have that are going to be on Amazon. So you're not going to see quality football this month and well into probably January and February because the players are playing too many, got a condensed program, and most importantly as well is after January and February you kind of know which teams are going to be fighting for relegation, which teams are going to be fighting for the Premiership, and which teams are going to be in and about for the top four. So I think that's where you're going to see more pressurised games.
Yeah, it's a strange season because, as you say, we're going to move on to the next game. And I couldn't believe what I was watching yesterday. There was no passion in the game at all. Even Roy Keane said after the game, he said, what's all this about? All this hugging and...
he's talking about John Stones and Harry Maguire.
Yeah, the managers. He said it's like what it's all about. He said, but see, he's going back to his days where that would not have been happening too much. You know what I'm saying? So it looked like as he was saying that like they both just settled not to lose the game, and I thought both teams really didn't. City look as if they're missing Aguero so much. I mean, he's a good player, Jesus, but there was times where De Bruyne was knocking balls in, and no one was there. All his good work was getting to waste. I think he was becoming a frustrated figure in the game, and then I'm looking at that, and I just thought the game was awful game. And that's the third one now I've seen. The game against Chelsea was awful. The other week there was another one. Even the one against Arsenal, that was an awful game. Even though we did win the game, but it was an awful game. It's like so. But then again, I'm looking at the table. If it wins their game in hand, they're above Chelsea, which is quite amazing.
Yeah, but I do agree with you. You've got to realise, right, psychologically, what Spurs did to them, what like I said, Crystal Palace did to them as well. Man United are never going to be that open at Old Trafford. They're never going to be that way because the simple reason is that teams have a formula to beat them, and basically what it is that it's the high line. They weren't going to let, like they were going to protect that high line that they play, especially protect Maguire and protect Lindelof. So at Old Trafford, where that was always going to happen. Another thing as well, remember Man United went out of Europe, all self-inflicted. If they had been more, like I said, offensive in that game on Tuesday, they might have got through. Because when they did up the ante, it was too late. But, Man United dare not lose that game. And the same for Man City as well, is that Man City are vulnerable. They're not the team that they were before. Clearly, one of the biggest misses for them is Aguero, because he is actually a striker, and he actually, it's not the fact that he takes his chances, but he creates chances out of nothing because of his low centre of gravity. He knows the way to goal, and ultimately, because he scores so many goals, he will shoot from, like I said, from anywhere on the football pitch. So Man City do miss that. They also miss the control that David Silva gives them in midfield as well. So that is another big miss. So, and plus you've got to realise right now is that I don't know what it is. I think teams are trying to, especially where there's sort of 6 pointers. I think you dare not lose your 6 pointers this season, especially with Liverpool and Tottenham at the top, or Tottenham or Liverpool, if you want to put it in that order. Teams don't want to lose. Last week's game in between Chelsea, or 2 weeks ago when Chelsea played Spurs, both teams didn't lose. It wasn't a situation because you don't want to lose ground to Liverpool. And if you look at the game that Liverpool are going to play against Spurs on Wednesday, you and I know that Klopp and Mourinho will take a draw right now, because that way there's no way they want to lose ground on each other. So don't expect a classic in that match.
Yeah. It was very, very poor. And I thought with Man City, though, with the way Man United were conceding goals, especially against West Ham, even though they got back to win, that Man City would have actually tried a little bit. But I still feel that they're as I say, the Aguero is a big issue for them. If they can get him, maybe they might start challenging.
Yeah, but there's other issues as well, because Man City, they're very fallible. They've been fallible at the back.
Yeah, but they seem to have sorted that out, and then
the clean sheets. But you look at the teams. One of the games was against Burnley, and no disrespect, Fulham as well. Now against better teams, there were times when Man United did get into areas, but it was just a final ball. Remember, Fernandes put Rashford through, but he couldn't sort his foot out. There was a situation where Man United had the penalty, where it was actually a good play again. Down the right, Rashford commits Walker. Walker falls for the bait, and they get a penalty, but it's offside. So there were times when Man City did ride it up, but on a whole, I thought Man United's defensive play was fantastic. Maguire got the right protection. They made sure that they took Man City into areas where they couldn't have clear shots at De Gea. I thought, for someone who likes good defending, I wasn't too perturbed by that performance from both sides.
Yeah, there's a comment there saying that they're not. Where is it? Where's it gone? They're not the same side as since Company's left. But
and I think definitely I agree with you. But I think what's happened is Liverpool have got stronger, and Man City have kind of stagnated. And I think that they're under transition as well. The good thing for Man City fans is that Pep Guardiola wants to extend his contract, and he wants to stay, which means he's in the process of probably building a new team.
Moving on to the last game of the day. Chelsea have been absolutely smashing it up until now. With a good unbeaten run since the Liverpool game. I think they've been unbeaten, and they came up against Everton. I thought the start of the game they seemed to have Everton under a lot of pressure. Once Everton got that little goal, that goal, just that little protection that they wanted, the goal, Chelsea just huffed and puffed, but they didn't say. Of course, the biggest mistake, of course, was the goalkeeping mistake. I mean, he's been playing really well until now. He made a terrible error for the penalty. Sigurdsson coolly put it away. I see it's a great penalty. But after that, Chelsea didn't seem they hit the post. I think James hit the post. Carl Havertz didn't look right wide on the pitch. He had to play there because of the injuries they had. But they seem to struggle a lot, Chelsea. I mean, I don't know about
all it is this games. This game's coming thick and fast. Everton's a very, very difficult place to go, and I think with Everton as well, they owed. They had their fans back there, they're behind them, and also Everton have had, they've had a few indifferent results. They got turned over by Man United, and
as well. Everton.
What's that?
Everton had a few injuries as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a few injuries, but traditionally Chelsea have always kind of struggled at Goodison Park. You know what I mean? And I expect it to be a hard game, but with Chelsea resources as well, I thought they might have sneaked it, but they came close. Hit the post a few times. could have been a bit unlucky. But, you've got to credit Everton for managing to stay in there. And, I think they're making slight improvements defensively. Because I thought, during the Man United game, I thought defensively that, they're at sixes and sevens. But, Everton's not going to be an easy place to go to for any side. And I think, Spurs have got to go there. I think Man City have got to go there as well. And, we've got to go there next week. It's not going to be easy to go to Goodison Park, especially now they've got a crowd around them.
Bertrand's coming with a super chat. Thank you, Bertrand. Who do you think are going down this season, boys? Well,
it's too early to predict. It's too early to predict because I think you'll know by probably February. Once you get.
Call Fulham in it, couldn't you? You could put.
Well, it's easy to put Fulham in, but they went and put that beautiful performance against Leicester City. They went and won. Fulham are playing Liverpool today. We expect Liverpool to win, but Fulham are not going to stay up by beating Liverpool home and away. They're going to stay up by making themselves difficult to beat and getting points against teams like West Brom. Try and get points against Burnley. And other teams, in other matches outside the top six. That's where Fulham are going to get their points. But, one thing Scott Parker's done is he's managed to eradicate the defensive errors where players are out of position. He's managed to stand down certain culprits from his team. He's brought in some really, like I said, Ademola Lookman, who's a very good acquisition. He gives them energy and pace. He's also got Loftus-Cheek as well to give him the sort of physical presence in midfield. So there is slight improvements, but they need to start scoring goals. If they don't score goals, then your prediction of them going down is going to be very true, Claude.
Yeah. There are a couple of the teams that look really precarious. Going back to Chelsea, 70% possession yesterday as well. 70%.
Yeah. Possession that when your football matches, Claude. We've known that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just maybe it was one of them days or it was one of them off days. They've been playing well up until now, but maybe these injuries now are taking their toll a bit, and maybe Giroud, you can't play every game.
Yeah, not at all. That's the thing.
Yeah,
and at the moment,
what do you think of that? What the goalkeeper done there was a bit silly. No need to do that.
That's the thing. I think once you come out, in situations where the ball goes over the top, your defenders have to take charge there. Your defenders got to take charge, and if they don't take charge, if you're a goalie, you've got to get the ball, because if you don't get the ball, you're either going to give away a penalty or get yourself in a situation where you can get yourself sent off. So if you come, get the ball. If not, then you've got to trust your defenders. You've got to really trust your defenders. You need to communicate them a bit better as well, because ultimately it was that goal that cost Chelsea the game, because it would have. And that's something that you'll learn from. But I think
didn't have a shot on target in the second half, Chelsea, but so they didn't have one shot on target in the second half. So
that's a lot down to Everton's defense, the way Everton defended and made it difficult for Chelsea.
Yeah. Anyway, that's so you still feel Chelsea will be up there? Yeah,
definitely. Look, every squad is going to get some injuries at the moment. Liverpool have lost Jota; they've injuries. Spurs at the moment haven't had any serious injuries, but remember, we've only had a batch. Those injuries will come. You got a Christmas program there, where
that's where it all starts to tell.
It's all got to start. I'm not, and if they
say if they get a program that you so much love.
Oh God, let's not talk about that. But if you want to talk, that is where, if you look at last season, that's where Spurs got major injuries. We're during that period where, during the Christmas period, Harry Kane was injured for a long time. Had it not been for lockdown and we had a proper season, Harry Kane would have been out for the season, and he probably would have missed. He probably would just struggle to be fit for Euro 2020. But lockdown kind of got saved Harry Kane's season and managed to give him some impetus when we resumed the games in June. So that is a critical time for all football clubs, and then it's your bench really. You know, whether you've got strength and depth, and whether the players who come into your team don't upset the balance of how the manager wants to play. And at the moment, Liverpool, you know, have managed to get it right. They've had injuries, but the players have come in and stepped in, haven't upset the balance of what Klopp requires.
Bertrand is saying Sheffield United are definitely going down.
Well, they can't score. They can't score, and that's the thing, Bertrand. They can't score, and you can't argue with what you said, mate.
Yeah. Moving on to today, I'm just going to get this up a minute. Let's have a look at this to get this screen up. Where is it? There we go. Let's go. Where is it? Predicted lineup today, Kenny. They're going Leno, Bellerin, Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, Ceballos, Xhaka, Willian, Lacazette, Saka, and Leno, Bellerin, Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, Ceballos, Xhaka, Willian, Lacazette, Saka, and Aubameyang. I would definitely. There's a few in there that I won't have, but I'd like you to tell me. Do you think Bellerin should be dropped today?
Well, it depends. I personally think he should be dropped. I think Holding should not be anywhere near that right hand centre half. Because that's a major weakness for Arsenal Football Club. Teams are purposely isolating us on Gabriel's side and Tierney's side, because that's where we're strong, both offensively and defensively. So all you have to do is just go down our right hand side, attack us with pace and movement, get down there, and then what will happen is that Bellerin will have to chase the ball. Rob Holding gets attracted to the action, get an overload on there, put the ball in, and then what will happen is that you are Gabriel and Tierney have to get in the areas where they don't need to be, and that's where Burnley can hurt us. And you know they're a team that love putting the ball in, putting some good crosses in. It's going to be very a hard game for us. Burnley are fighting for their lives, but they kind of got a problem because they know that they don't want to sit off us because they don't want to. You know what happened to them at the Etiquette when they got absolutely murdered, battered by Man City. Although, you know, they could say they had an experienced goalkeeper and had things going against. The fact of the matter is they sat off Man City and they destroyed. We're not as good as Man City in any way.
Tarkowski and me, haven't they? So
yeah, definitely. But the thing about Tarkowski and me, you know, as well, is that they're very, very strong defensively. I understand Lawton's going to be playing as well. Lawton's going to be at right back. He struggles a bit, and left hand side. But again, it's a situation where we have to, when we're on top, we have to get in areas where we create the overloads in the attacking third. Aubameyang makes those runs. Lacazette holds the ball up. Aubameyang makes those runs, and then he's confident in front of goal. You know what I mean? Because what teams are doing is they're working us out as well. They haven't got a problem with Saka going down the line and putting crosses in because they think, right, you put crosses in, we're confident we can clear our lines, and then on the turnover, we'll start our attacks from the left-hand side and go at Arsenal. And I think that's where Burnley are going to look to hurt us, and they're going to come. They're going to come to the Emirates with great confidence, very, very big confidence. I know Burnley fans are very pessimistic about what's going on. They're pessimistic because Tarkowski's unsettled. They're pessimistic because of the lack of goals, and you know they're worried that teams have worked them out. But they don't realise, right? They were playing an Arsenal side that is very, very low in confidence. There's definite problems in the dressing room for me. The manager is struggling as well in terms of like his lineup, his formations, and he's finally realising that teams are working his methods out as well. So that is a massive, massive pressure on him. Also, as well, losing becomes a habit. So, despite the fact that Mikel's got a very strong base in terms of like he's a team manager now, and he has a say on transfers and a big say on footballing matters alongside Edu, Per Mertesacker, and Vinoy. The situation is that results change things in football. People panic. I mean, we lose today and then we struggle against Southampton and then Everton. The situation is now, do you let Mikel have that Chelsea game? Do you make the change now? Because you think about it mathematically, how far mathematically does the football club want to be away from the top four? Because you said it on the show I did you on Friday, that we're only 7 points away from the top four, even though we're in a very precarious position. And I thought, yeah. But you have got a point. Now, you're thinking that. What makes you think that someone in the boardroom level or the owners aren't thinking that as well? That if things carry on like that, we feel that we're going to get a spiral of losing football matches, but also we're thinking, well, hang on, if we get a fresh face in, a new manager with a bit of experience, it's still salvageable, top four, because that is their blueprint. That is what the club want. Ultimately, the targets for this season is the top four in the Europa League. It's not me saying that. That's the chief executive has expressed those targets himself publicly.
Yeah, I think that is a target, but are they achievable? This is it. This is what I'm saying. Are they achievable?
Mathematically, they are. Mathematically, they are because of the amount of games you have. But again, it's the situation is that people panic. People panic. If whether you like it or not in football, people are going to think, well, maybe a fresh face, a new face. Maybe the players need someone who's going to shake things up. Give them a motivation to play for their places, and the new manager may bring that.
See, the trouble is, it's like you remember a lot of United were in before they put this run together. And the people, there was no way they looked like they were struggling never to get in the top four. Now, with a game in hand, they get in there. So
you looked at Man United. What the saving grace for Man United was their away form. Their away form was always their saving grace. Remember, they won their first game against Brighton. Then they lost after Brighton. They got battered by Spurs. Then a week later, they went to Newcastle, won 4-1. Then they struggled against Chelsea, and then they won away again, and then they played us, and then they started winning away, and then they managed to beat West Brom, and then they've won away at Everton. It's a difficult place to go. They've won away at Southampton, and then they won away at West Ham. So he's always had that thing going where he's still got very good players, and these players actually performing for him, regardless of the results that they're experiencing at Old Trafford. Fernandes is playing out of his skin. Maguire's improving. Away from defensively, you can't knock Maguire. De Gea's put in some good performances where he's looked himself, although there have been the odd tremor. But saying that has kept Solskjaer on the job. We don't have that luxury at Arsenal because we're not scoring goals. And where we were seemingly strong defensively, we're now getting found out where we are making mistakes because the manager's not eradicating or making formation changes not making formation changes, but personnel changes down the right hand side. Everyone who watches Arsenal, be it the fans, the pundits, just look down at our right hand side. Doesn't matter whether who we play. That is a weakness which teams are more than happy to exploit, especially at the Emirates.
I think we'll win today. I think I do feel we will win today because I just feel that this is a good game for us actually because I think they're a very poor side and I can't.
But are we a good side though, Claude? But Claude, it's easy for us to bang the drum and like I said,
Enough,
shake the rattle. But we're only saying that on reputation. But in terms of performances, are we a good team?
no, not at the moment. I think
Being
we're
a
good
bit.
enough to beat Burnley. Though.
Are we though? Are we though? Because where's the
With
evidence to say
crowd,
that?
with a little bit of a crowd there as well.
You say that. You say that, but Burnley are better than Mulder. Burnley are better than Dundalk, and they're better than Rapid Vienna.
Mm.
And that's my situation. I think what's happening right now is that we, as Arsenal fans, and I think the players need to accept the situation we are in, and accept that it's not a false position. It's where we deserve to be.
Yeah, I can see that, but we managed to beat Sheffield United earlier this season, didn't we? I think I just get a feel. I think we'll be okay today. Ken's opinions on that. We've done that, but thank you for the super chat though. Signature. He's just asking you about what's it? Victory is he losing the knockout ability as Pulev ate those punches? No, he did. Well, he stopped him in the end. So
yeah, I think what's happening right is that Pulev ate those punches, and people, all fights are different. All fights are different, and I think in terms of talking about Wilder being able to take, Fury being able to take Wilder's punches. Let's not forget that Fury in his second fight had the benefit of knowing Wilder inside out from their first fight, and
exactly.
he knew that because of Wilder's probably lack of fitness, and because of Fury's size, and because Fury thought, you know what, he hasn't killed me when he's knocked me down, I can walk him down, because Wilder's not expecting me to walk him down. And I think that's where Fury had that benefit of being able to do that. And Joshua's going to be a different kettle of fish because they haven't fought before. I think they've probably sparred, but I don't think they even fought together. And there's no way they fought in the amateurs. So again, it's an opponent that Tyson Fury doesn't know, and Joshua doesn't know as well. So he's definitely going to be able. He's definitely going to have to try and trust his trainer and make a plan. But to actually walk Anthony Joshua down with that sort of confidence is something that I don't think that Tyson Fury's got the luxury of pulling off, because he doesn't know what's going to come back. He hasn't tasted one of AJ's punches. AJ hasn't tasted one of his punches. It's going to be a fascinating thing, but let's not forget, boxing's full of politics, and this fight may never happen.
Yeah, true, yeah. See, it's more to do with the promoters that it won't happen, yeah? Kenny, yeah? You think it's more to do with the promoters?
I think it's everything. It's not just the promoters. There's the TV stations. Like Fury's with. I think he's with. I don't know if he's with. Is it with Showtime or HBO? And BT Sport. Anthony Joshua's with Sky Sports, as well as he's with DAZN as well. So that's a team. So there's two different TV companies.
There's a problem there.
Then you've got Top Rank and you've got Matchroom. So you've got that as well. And plus another thing as well, it's going to take a situation where both promoters, along with their TV stations, have got to put purse bids, actually bid for the rights for the fight. So if they've got to bid for the rights to the fight, that's what's going to take time, because it's not a case of them just going to like one commission, because all the titles are going to be online. They got to rectify all the title. The cancels, the boxing cancels. So it's not as easy as people think. You know what I mean? And I think that's where people need to sort of, how do I say it? Be very, very patient.
Hold all the titles at the moment, yeah?
Well, yeah, they hold all the titles. But, the fight would be easier to make if both of them vacate their titles. and then what's happened, right, is that you you don't have a situation where you got where you have that's like fighters have got contractual obligations to the councils to fight mandatory challengers. You can get rid of that, and all you have is the arguments over the 50-50 split. You're going to have the arguments over which who's going to be the main promoter, and then you have the argument about which TV station is going to thing. And again, it's about the bidding. Who bids highest?
Yeah. I get what you mean now. I get what you mean. Prediction for the game today, Kenny? Arsenal Burnley.
I think it's going to be a difficult game. Arsenal have got the players to win. If Arsenal score the first goal, they win comfortably.
Yeah,
they win comfortably. But if the longer it stays 0-0, the longer Burnley seemingly settle for that, and that's where it's going to be very dangerous. But because the crowds are there, we're going to huff puff, try and get the win, and then it's all about the counter attack. For Burnley to put men behind the ball and settle for a point, it's going to be very dangerous for them because of the situation is that they actually need the 3 points as much as we do. A draw normally at Highbury would have been good enough for Burnley, but because of their precarious situation, it's not good enough. And also because Arsenal wins dire straits and are 100% beatable, in my opinion, that's not going to be a good enough for Burnley as well. So it's a must win for both games, both teams.
Who's that? Is that Andy Boothroyd? No, Andy Hinchcliffe. It looks. Andy is time. Right. Jesus, he's changed a lot, hasn't he? I'm just looking at that today. They're at Selhurst Park. Spurs playing Palace. Spurs on a high at the moment, top of the league. I think this could be a bit more tricky today than it was last week because I think Spurs will have to come out a bit more. So this is not a foregone conclusion. This game, is it? It's one of these games where you can see a slip up.
You would expect there to be a slip up because of the fact that Palace have got some very good footballers and very dangerous players. They've got Eze now. They've got Zaha, of course. They got they've got AU as well, who's like I said, very industrious. Like I said, he's working his nuts off. So they do have the players to hurt Spurs. But the problem with Crystal Palace as well is that they got this sort of like lobotomy in defence where they love an error of Crystal Palace. They love to make errors defensively. But in fact, they thrive in it. I mean, Roy Hodgson must have been pulling his hair out, and that's why they kind of struggle even at Selhurst Park. But I think with a game like Spurs, I think it'll be a goal. Spurs have the players to win. They've got the tactics, and they'll be very good in their counter attack. And they got plus as well. They'll be able to cope with the physical demands that Crystal Palace are putting them. My heart says Palace to win 2-1. My head says it'd be 1-0 to Tottenham.
Yeah. I think you could be right. Also, there's another one. Is Fulham against Liverpool as well. That's another tricky one, isn't it? I mean, where do you see that one going? Fulham, I think Liverpool should be winning comfortably, but you never know, do you? This is it's a little. You never know with Fulham. They beat Leicester, and there are some good players there that can cause a lot of problems to that Liverpool defence, which is not how can I say, with a lot of injuries at the moment, it could cause a few problems, I think.
Yeah, but the thing with Liverpool defence is that what's happened is that their midfield are giving them a good cushion and protection, and that in turn makes Liverpool difficult to get. Another thing as well, because Liverpool at the midfield gives them a lot of protection, effectively as well, what Liverpool are doing, they're beating teams up in the midfield. They're really beating them up and softening them midfield and defences up and allowing their three superstars to win the game for them. and sorry, their full-backs as well. Remember, you say Liverpool got injuries, but Alexander-Arnold is back. So that's going to be... he's been back for the last 2 games, so that's going to be good acquisition for them to come into this game, and also the Tottenham game as well. And also, they've managed to keep Robertson fit for now, because you say that for now for Liverpool as well. So I think what's happened is that Fulham are going to try and frustrate Liverpool, and I think Parker's going to probably play for a point, because I think that's his best way of getting something to the game. Because I think if he's open against Liverpool will open him up. But saying that, even if Fulham do make themselves difficult to beat and get Liverpool's faces, Liverpool will relish the physical battle as well, because they have players who I call play midfield for all seasons. If you want to sit back off them, they've got no problem with that. No problem with that as well, because they have energy. They'll run at you, and they'll create spaces for their full-backs, and then in turn forwards to run into those little spaces that you're trying to protect. If you want to have a battle with them, they're happy for that as well. So it's one of those things where, Klopp has got that kind of formula right, which really serves Liverpool well and makes them really difficult to beat. Really difficult to beat. But the only thing, best hope for Fulham is that Liverpool are not 100% at it, because you've seen Liverpool, when they haven't been at it 100%, they've been lost games. Remember when they lost against Atalanta, the Champions League, when they weren't 100% at it, got beaten, and Villa away when they got battered 7-2. So I think that's going to be Fulham's best hope to see if they can get something today.
Yeah. So I think we think Liverpool will win.
I think Liverpool win 3-0.
Yeah. I just thought that Lookman, is it Lookman? And they might cause that inexperienced Liverpool defence a bit of problems, because they've still got a lot of players out the back, haven't they?
I think with Lookman, what Liverpool are going to hope is that he tries to run at them from deep. You don't want him in a situation where he's running for them in their last third, and that's where you're right. Liverpool, in my opinion, I think Liverpool could struggle with his quick feet and movement.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think Liverpool will win that comfortably. As I said, I think I'm going to go Arsenal. I'm going to go a 2-0 win for Arsenal today. I'm convinced that they'll be back on winning.
Pray.
They've got a nice little run now. The games Arsenal. They've got Southampton. I think Everton away might. Well, I haven't said that. Everton away. I don't know. That's another. I think it's different. I don't know. No.
I think the thing with Arsenal, I think what we need to do, right, is that, I think when you're struggling like we are, the best thing to do is go back to basics. Take one game at a time. Don't look too forward. Just say, right, this game. And I think it's a formula you use when you're struggling and when you're trying to go for titles, or have a sort of 10-point plan, 10-match plan to actually get in the top 4. You have to take each game as it comes, because every game's a potential banana skin.
I think the real target is the next 5 to get at least 10 points from the next 5.
I don't think the club should really set targets. I think what's happening is that I think they should just take the game as it is.
I think you could be right there, Kenny.
Don't look at games as winnable.
Yeah.
As far just
there are games you think are winnable that you drop points on. There's games you don't. Are the ones where you get surprised. So you're quite right.
I think Claude, what the players need to do, forget about what happened to Tottenham, forget about Wolves, forget everything else. Burnley's a new game.
Claude, a few weeks you predicted. I'm going to say this because you predicted we would get 7 points against Leeds, Wolves, and Tottenham. Well, we weren't that far away, was we?
Of course, we only got 1 point.
I'm only 6 points out, aren't I? So I know. Yeah, but did I really predict that? Maybe I must have been on the boozer.
No, I don't think you were. I think he's got you on tape. I think he's got you on tape.
No, I think he's bullshitting. So I don't think did I say that Leeds, Wolves, and Tottenham?
Well, I think what's happened is,
I can't remember. Oh yeah, so we'll touch on this. Claude, did you see Saliba's comments on Instagram post saying he was locked up like him? So I think he was talking about his comments to Guendouzi. Yeah. Yeah, and it's not good that a lot of this is coming out from this camp at the moment. Well, Arsenal always used to keep a lot of in stuff. Now it seems to be coming. A lot of this is coming out. Kenny, is there a real problem here, Kenny? Do you think, or do you think this is just people making too much of an Instagram post? It could have meant completely something else. Lost in translation, probably. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't actually seen. I haven't seen the post itself. I don't know if it was in French or if it was in English. Someone can please tell me if it was in French. Lost in translation. I don't know. But Kenny, have you seen these Instagram posts?
I've seen the posts. I think what's happened, right, is it's come on the back of the fact that there's reports from the football club that Arteta. There's reports that Arteta's not convinced about Saliba. One report says he wants to sell him. The other report says that he wants him to go on loan because he doesn't think he's ready for the first team. And there's also reports as well that Saliba, doesn't think that he could play for Arsenal whilst Arteta's as Arsenal coach. The fact that the only factual thing is Saliba's been bought, with big fanfare in last summer. We were very excited about getting him. We were saying he was like the defensive equivalent of Mbappe. He was next for Varane and blah blah, and everyone was pleased with him. But we wanted him to stay on loan because of there was something to do with the registration of foreign players and everything. So, fast forward, Mikel Arteta's got the job. He's still playing for Saint Etienne. There's lockdown. The French league is suspended indefinitely, or cancelled, or null and void, whatever you want to call it, voided. And Paris has got the league. Call it whatever you want. And then what's happened is that Saliba wants to play in the cup final against PSG. Arsenal says he can't because he's our player. He's come to Arsenal, played a pre-season game, and then he's playing for the under-23s, and there's talk about loaning him out when he's had a loan previously, and then all of this has happened. I think what's happened, right, is that Mikel Arteta, as I said before in your podcast before, Mikel Arteta does not rate the player and sell him. Don't waste the player's time. Don't waste our time. The guy's already had a loan period. You should know from the loan period whether he's right for you or not, and you should stand up, be counted, Mikel, and make the decision. Don't just go be wishy-washy about it because you're wasting the guy's time. You probably told him you're going to sell him as well, but there's a lot of mixed messages coming from the camp, and then Guendouzi's putting his 2 pence in, and of course Guendouzi's got a grudge as well because he was thrown out of the squad as well by Arteta as well. But the problem we have is there's blatantly a man management issue with Mikel in terms of like him trying to stamp his authority and get players singing off the same hymn sheet. I said it last week in your show, and I'll repeat it on another show that we were on together, that something occurred during lockdown. Where it has to be of a disciplinary nature. But what Mikel needs to do one thing. It's all well and good getting rid of someone who you regard as a bad egg and a bad influence out of your squad. But and then get rid of a couple of people you think are bad influence. But if you still got the bad eggs in a team, especially when they're playing your first team, and you're relying on them, results have to be, maybe mixed, but have to be, like consistently good for you to get these players to turn on line. Because when there's adversities like there is now, your methods
Mm.
and your control in the dressing room is going to get loosened, because I say it once, say it 1,000 times. There's 25 squad players and one coach, and coaches are dispensable. Now, I likened Mikel to Andre Villas-Boas, and the reason why I likened him to Andre Villas-Boas is because when Andre Villas-Boas went to Chelsea, he had the same sort of situation where he was given complete control of the footballing matters. He was entrusted to get Chelsea playing this great style of play, attacking play, the football that Abramovich dreamed of. He wanted Chelsea to play like Barcelona in blue shirts. Andre Villas-Boas was basically like labelled, tasked with that that ambition. Remember, they got rid of Ancelotti. He won a double. Ancelotti won the double in 2010, 2011. He lost the quarterfinals to Man United in the Champions League. Came second. Poor sack to Man United in Abramovich's eyes. Sacked him and said, "Right, we want something fresh and new." Come to March now, 9 months down the line, Andre Villas-Boas is out of his job. Why is he out of his job? Because results weren't going well. He's trying to stamp his authority on certain players. Remember, there was a situation with Anelka, other players as well, who he thought were bad eggs and blah, blah. Senior players like Drogba, Terry, Lampard and Petr Cech weren't having it. They were running the dressing room. They undermined his authority, went straight to Roman, because they had Roman's ear, even though Roman gave him all of this sort of, like I said, power. It was either them or Villas-Boas. Villas-Boas lost. We've got a similar situation at Arsenal. Doesn't matter whether Mikel hasn't got the experience. He's still got a man manager issue. I believe that one of the bad eggs at the club is a player that he was begging to stay and said he was going to build a side around and has just signed a contract. When ordinarily, had it not been for lockdown, he could have maybe have gone to Chelsea, maybe have got to Real Madrid and Barcelona. I still believe that a couple about 3 or 4 of the bad eggs are still the dressing room. They're acolytes to the player that was I believe was kicked out of the squad for disciplinary reasons because he's not singing the same hymn sheet. And you can't work like that if results are going south. Doesn't matter, how good, the fans think the manager is, how much the board, are behind him, and how much his the coach's acolytes and the media are behind him. Results are the template. Results are in cement. You can't change results. You can't, turn the clock back in results. People do panic, especially when you run out of games.
Yeah, someone just said that Southampton have taken the lead against Sheffield
No surprise.
It isn't no surprise, but I feel for Sheffield United because I don't think they're playing that bad at the moment. They're just not getting their run.
Injuries. They've had injuries and they've had to change personnel. And, the beauty of football is that what works, the thing about football is that when a team is as successful as Sheffield United last season, teams are going to work them out. They're going to stop those overloads that Sheffield United did very well last season, which they took teams by surprise and said, right, we're going to block that off, and we're going to make Sheffield United try and play down the middle. Get them to play down the middle, they struggle.
Yeah, true, Kenny. Right, Kenny. We'll have to wrap it up, everyone, because I know Kenny's got another show to go on. Where you're going? Can you let the people know where you're going on so they can?
Well, I'm going to go on Pep Talk UK, and I'm going to do a review of the Joshua fight and also the build-up to a possible fight with Tyson Fury. Where the fight could be won and whether, in my opinion, whether it's going to happen, because there's, as I said before, there's loads of, discussions that need to be had. It's all well and good. People, every, stakeholder involved in Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury saying, well, we want it to happen. But wanting it to happen is different from making it happen. And that's something I'm going to discuss at 1:25 with Pep Talk UK.
They're going live, or is it recorded?
I have no idea. I think it's probably going to be I don't know if it's going to be through StreamYard or through Zoom. I think he sent it, but yeah, it's probably going to be for about half an hour or something. But you know, all I can say to boxing fans is be patient. But let's just say you're more likely to see a Joshua Usyk fight or an Usyk Dillian White fight, and the winner fights actually Joshua, then you probably are going to see a Fury fight, which is a big disappointment to boxing fans, be it like traditional or casual fans.
Yeah, we will never know, will we? It'll be one of them where we will never know who was the best out of the two. Yeah.
Well, you know what happens in boxing. Fights don't happen. Carl Froch didn't fight Joe Calzaghe. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did he end up unbeaten, Kenny, in the end?
Joe Calzaghe, yeah, he ended up unbeaten. Yeah, Carl Froch never fought Joe Calzaghe. Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao fought when they were both boxing
some record, isn't it?
Pensioners. You know what I mean?
That is some record though, to stay unbeaten all.
It definitely has. It definitely has. I think the thing with Joe Calzaghe, it was a nightmare fight. He was quick. He was quick, and he threw combinations. For every punch you threw, Joe probably threw about 20, and that's probably what caught the judges' eye. Now, the only thing you could beat Joe is if you hit him with a hammer. Right? You know what I mean? Apart from that, you couldn't beat Joe.
Yeah, brilliant fighter. Listen, thanks a lot for Kenny for coming on. Hopefully, have you back next Sunday at the same time.
I don't see the reason why not.
Next Sunday, we'll be talking about the Everton game because that would have been finished by then because we're playing Saturday night, aren't we? 5:30.
Yeah, we're playing Saturday, Everton game.
And we'd have played Southampton as well. So there'll be two games.
Yeah. Also, we got to preview the quarterfinal clash against Man City, and then
exactly. There's another big game.
We got a preview. Yeah.
Boxing Day, or we're playing on the next one after.
No, we're playing Boxing Day at 5:30 against Chelsea on Sky.
All right. Well, that'd be interesting as well. So, listen, everyone, take care. We'll be back later. I'll be back at 4 with the course to watch along the big game. Everyone is calling the 6 point. I don't think Arsenal are going to be anywhere near that relegation battle. But anyway, it's all.
Claude, you're never too good to lose football matches. You're never too good.
We are the Arsenal. We don't get involved in relegation battles.
Of course, we don't. We only got involved in relegation battles from 1974 to 1976.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago, and we still got out of that one, didn't we? So that's a long time ago. Remember, it's the Arsenal. We don't do relegation.
Too right and too right. And that's the thing. The
Everton don't do relegation.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The players need to realise who they're playing for. That they're playing for Arsenal. If they don't want to play for Mikel Arteta, then play for the club. Put the club first, and put your things off. And then at the end of the season, you can, if you're still unhappy, call your agents and find another club to play for. But this season, whilst you're under contract, give your all. That's all I'm asking.
I agree. You Gunners, let's do it today. Let's get the 3 points that we need. Kenny, thanks for coming on. Thank you everyone for joining us in the chat. Couple of hundred of you in the chat this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And yes, see you at 4 for the big one. Arsenal v Burnley. Come on, you Gunners. Let's do it.
Gunners. Let's do it.